today's little number that I'm obsessed with, The Coincidence File by Ken Anderson. This is the guy who went on YouTube who talked about the synchronicity categories of Frank Joseph. The more you look into synchronicity, the more synchronistic things happen. This week I've had some lovely coincidences. I've got a brother in spirit who was called Robert when he was on the earth plane, and now he's in spirit, he's called Bob. I know this because numerous mediums have given the information to both my mum and myself. All week, because I'm writing a book about synchronicity, the word Bob has been coming up one way or another. Yeah, hearing a Bob. It doesn't matter what hairdresser I go into, I come out of a Bob. So I don't want a Bob, don't want a Bob, grab my hair long, it's going. And they look at me and they go, oh yeah, yeah, of course you are. And they come out and I've got a Bob. Might be a long Bob, might be a shaggy Bob, but it's still a Bob. The name just comes up for me over and over again, whether it's on a car number plate or somebody's name that I have to interact with. Sometimes my dad's name comes up a lot, Tom. His name was Thomas. He wanted me to be called Tamasina, but my mum said no, she's going to be called Tamasin, and that was it. But often the name Tom comes up. I heard it this morning when I was out and about, just in passing. Someone said the name Tom while I was in a random shop. Someone shouted out, Tom. Now, according to people I know who are completely sceptic, they're like, well, everyone's called Tom, everyone's called Bob. I'm like, not really, no. Last night, while I was knitting and doing a bit of research for my book, I put the Pirates of the Caribbean on. Pirates of the Caribbean, Johnny Depp. Where's the Bob in that? There's no Bob in that, is there? You know, wouldn't have thought so. In fact, there isn't until right at the end, where he's got the pirate medallion, and Johnny Depp was saying, "Eating the blood on the gold medallion," and then he does a little speech and he wanders around, you know how he does, like staggers about like an exaggerated drunk. Instead of saying Bob's your uncle and Fanny's your aunt, he says Robert's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. It's just amazed really, because to me that's synchronicity, to remind me about my brother Robert. Now to anyone else it doesn't mean anything, but it is an unusual phrase and it's completely unexpected and out of the blue for Jack Sparrow to be saying in a Pirates of the Caribbean film. I know YouTube. I'm still working on my synchronicity book, and as I'm working through and trying to put material together, trying to make sense of it, more synchronicities happen. So I came home, I started watching the rest of the Fear of 13, and in the morning I'd been with someone who has someone in spirit, and we'd been talking about her. It was sort of reminiscing because she was a nice person. Sure enough, in the film The Fear of 13, a significant person in his world had the same name as the person that I'd been thinking about in the morning, somebody else in spirit. Now to me, those are signs that I've been prompted to be put in the right place at the right time to have the synchronicity happen. And it is like a message from spirit to say, look, yeah, we're still here, we've nudged you in that direction to watch that film. Now, why would I have watched that film? Of all the films I could have been watching, you know, The Fear of 13 isn't something that really sort of, well, I would have any reason to watch. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, it was really good. That we're all surrounded by coincidences and signs from the universe all the time. It's how we interpret them and how we read into them that gives them meaning. My thing this week with synchronicity, I had an exam day, so I went off to London for an exam. I headed off, and as I was strolling through Whitechapel, I do love to notice a black cat as well. When I see a little black cat, I have a black cat too, because I do love the symbolism of the black cat. It's actually a tattoo on my wrist there of a black cat. Whenever I see one, I take a photo. And despite the fact that it was rush hour traffic in London, just before 9 o'clock, a black cat ran across a green garden there. So I walked over because I couldn't believe that I was seeing that in East London that time of morning. And there was a little building, little block of buildings that looked like old age people's homes or something. And it was called Trinity Green. And of course I love the symbolism of the name Trinity, and this black cat was sort of performing for me, running across the road, and I was thinking, I have walked for quite some time now. I think I might have been walking further than I expected to walk. I've been walking for like half an hour. And as I was thinking that, these 4 crows just flew overhead, just flew over my head. 4 crows, 2 of them on way up above my head, on a roof of a building, but the other two literally just flew down in the middle of London. I bet him I'd just seen this black cat. I was thinking, oh, hold on, what's this? What is spirit, the guardian angels, my higher self, you know, the matrix, whoever it is, God's trying to tell me I'm being given a message here, could be going the wrong way. So a sweet shop just on my left, so I nipped in there. You know, these two guys, I said to them, do you know where this street is I'm supposed to be going to? Told them where I was going, and they both went, oh yeah, back the way you just come, turn left at Barclays Bank, it's down there and on the left. So I'd literally gone completely past the commercial road, the giant road that was supposed to be obvious to me what it was, but it wasn't signposted. I couldn't see it. I completely missed it because I was too busy looking at the black cat probably. But yeah, I missed the turning, and if it hadn't been for the four crows, I don't know how far down that road I would have walked before I'd stopped and asked for directions, because I didn't have Google Maps on my phone because I haven't got any storage on it. So I was, you know, sort of reliant on being in the right place at the right time to ask people who knew the way, which usually it's the other way around. Usually I'm the one being asked for directions. I sort of headed in the direction they said, and then there was a traffic warden walking in front of me, and I thought, well, if anyone knows where this is, he will. So I was walking a bit fast, trying to catch up with him. And just before I caught up with him, I glanced to my right, and there was the building that I was meant to be in. So I went in there, spoke to the receptionist. She had to push a button on the lift to release the lift for me. But I walked around slowly because I didn't realise that's what was happening. I didn't realise she had to unlock the lift. She just told me to go into the lift because I got there, it wasn't working. Because not being a guest at the hotel, you're just like a guest to do an exam somewhere. So you don't need, you know, one of those swipe keys. You just rely on other people to push the buttons for you. So I'm standing at the lift, it's not working. I've gone back round to the reception. Sorry, it's not working. So she pushed the button. I've rushed round this time to get in before the door shut. And then out the corner of my eye, I can see someone else running behind me. So I've quickly looked at the arrows, held the button open for him. Guy got in. I've gone up to the first floor. I had to laugh with the guy. I said, see, look, that's style that is that I can, you know, save the day there, letting you in the lift. And we both laughed. And then we both got out at the same lift. And then we both walked into the exam centre. I went and sat down at one of the seats, and he went and sat at the adjudication table because he was the examiner. Still, at least I managed to save the lift for him, eh? And it was those sort of coincidences, I love that. Do you know what I mean? The timing. If I hadn't gone the wrong way, right, if I hadn't gone out of my way and detoured into having to ask for directions, I wouldn't have been, that interaction in the lift wouldn't have happened. You know, and it's this sort of lining up with events, people, interactions that just make my day. I just thoroughly enjoy myself. I'm just thinking today about coincidental birthdays and how there's 6 billion people on the planet, right? Well, there were last time I looked. According to this Mandela affected universe that we're living in here now, there's 7.5 billion. Thinking about that, when it was 6 billion, I remember, because the reason I remember it so clearly is because my son worked out how many people you are likely to share your birthday with, and I think he said it was 18 million. If there's 18 million people on the planet that you share your birthday with, and then you can just sort of work out how many people are in your country, you know, and figure out, well, what are the chances of you meeting someone in your country that shares a birthday with you. Let's just suppose then that there's nearly 20 million people in the world who share a birthday with you. So let's just say on average there's 18 million people share a birthday. How many of them are you going to meet in your lifetime? So for me, I share a birthday with Michael Jackson, Lenny Henry. It was literally once every 5 years that I would hear about somebody with my birthday. Roughly once every 5 years. I know there's 20 million people on the planet that I can bump into, interact with, who share my birthday. And yet up until a few weeks ago, I'd only met about 5. I could probably name on one hand 5 of them. Within the space of a week, I met 3 in the same week. And coincidences surrounding my birthday. I met a lady whose husband died on August the 29th. And then I thought that Wayne Dyer had died on my birthday in 2015. And then Louise Hay died on my birthday. But it turns out, no, it was actually August the 30th that they died. And then there was a little girl who was 3 this year, and she shares my birthday. And there was another lady I met, and her daughter's birthday was on the 29th. All in the space of a week. One wasn't actually a birthday, one was an anniversary of the death. But it was my birthday that the woman mentioned to me. which obviously has significance for me. And I think it's just so bizarre the way suddenly we're on that wavelength where we're meeting people who have got these level of coincidences and meaningful events that have happened to them on the same day. I was in Hockley, so I was in this wrong road, people that you know. And bumping into people you know when you're not on your home turf, that's even stranger, it's even more coincidental. And also, my book that I'm writing, one of the titles I had was Moments in Time. I was going to call my book that. I was thinking about calling my book that, but then I ran it by a few people and no one seemed to like it for a book. And then I decided it was going to be called Quantum something. Anyway, so while I'm walking about these streets, knocking on these doors, I knock on this house. And I'm looking at the name of the house and it's called Moments in Time. I was like, okay, there's a coincidence. So the woman opened the door. And because I couldn't keep my mouth shut, I had to tell her, you know, that's interesting because I'm going to call my book that. I was thinking about it. She enjoyed the coincidence, but she didn't want to survey because obviously she thought I was completely mad. And then the next house was called Deja Vu. One of my chapters in my book is called Deja Vu. And I like the idea that they live next door to each other, these people. I love that. It's just great. And then the next house gave me a survey, and the coincidence there was that the guy's wife runs an organisation that I used to volunteer for in Southend, not in Hockley. Love that coincidence. That's another connection. Walked across the road. These people let me in. It was so cold and rainy, and this is the height of summer. I don't need a coat in this weather. By the time I got there, I felt like it was November. My fingers were cold, and of course I'd been to Chelmsford, so I'd had a long journey. It wasn't as if I'd just come from Southend, done a little train trip and then started trekking around local houses. I'd been out and about, I'd had cancelled trains, the journey had taken a lot longer than I thought. And by the time I got to Hockley, I thought, I've got to have a coat or a jumper. I'm going to have to go into the charity shop and find something. Right, I've been when I'm practicing law of attraction, so I'm thinking, right, there's going to be a coat, there's going to be something waterproof, there's going to be something that's going to fit me, because rarely that happens to me. Like, it doesn't never fit, can't ever find anything when I need it, and I never think to go in and look when I don't need it. So I strolled in, and there's this lovely cream jacket, and it's a size 14, and it's from Maine. It's a lovely quality cotton. It's sort of waterproofy, and it's lightweight but not too lightweight. I put it on, it's perfect fit. The arms fit, it's got quite long arms, so you know it's quite unusual for me to get something that actually fits as well. So oh my god, thank God. So I went to the counter, paid them £5 for this lovely jacket. It's practically brand new. Smelt of clean washing powder. Excellent, I'm going to wear that. The first house I knocked on, the woman opened the door and she looked me up and down like that, as if to say, yes, you know, you bringing the jacket back? You complaining about it? I looked at her and I knew something had clicked in her mind, but I didn't know what it was. So I told her what I was there for. She let me in, and then I explained, you know what, I've just been down the charity shop to buy this jacket because it's so cold. And she laughed and she said, yeah, I know. She said, I donated that this morning. So she donated the jacket I just bought, and then I went and knocked on her house and I was wearing her jacket, which was just funny. And then the next house I went in and I was still full of Chelmsford because I've been there, you know. Oh, I've just got back from Chelmsford, and of course it's part of the chat when people let you into their homes. They want to sort of know a bit about you, you know, you're a strange human being to them, so I offer information about myself. It makes people feel more comfortable. And the guy didn't say anything, he just smiled, and we did the... So YouTube, my stories ran out on my phone, and the whole day has gone by since I first started the story about the coincidence with the town that I'd been to visit. So I was in Hockley, and I'd been to Chelmsford, and I arrived at this guy's house all gushing about, oh look, I've just been to Chelmsford and aren't I busy, and you know, trying to make conversation and small talk. And then at the end of the survey he gave me his name, and his name was Mr. Chelmsford, which is a lovely coincidence. I love those coincidences, that synchronicity. It says to me, you're in the right place at the right time for what you need to be doing. So that's what I did. Was there any other coincidence that I forgot? There was the woman whose coat I was wearing when I knocked on her door. There was the guy whose name was the town I'd just visited. There was the house called Moments in Time, the house called Deja Vu, the person whose wife runs the centre I used to volunteer for. What else was there? I think that was it for Hockley. Oh no, the solicitor that I used to work for, and my son's school teacher. Yeah, so like pretty much all the houses I went in, I had some sort of connection or link to. It's amazing, really. So I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and that's what happens when you put yourself on the vibration of your inner self, your highest inner self that you can put yourself in and in touch with and feel, so you feel as good as you can about yourself when you head off out, and then you keep in mind the thoughts that are going to keep you on that wavelength, on that level, and literally on that vibration, and you meet up with other people that you've already linked up with before. It's a little bit strange, but give it a go. It's fun. You know, it's fun to notice these coincidences. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.